As president, I'm pleased to welcome you on behalf of the faculty and the staff and the governing boards of Weber State University to the university's 137th commencement. The prelude and the processional music were performed by the Weber State University Wind Ensemble, conducted by Dr. Thomas Root. Seated on the platform are members of the Board of Trustees, Rex Baxter, James Beardall, Barney Chapman, Alan Hall, Catherine Lindquist, Kevin Sullivan, and Victoria Thompson. We're very pleased Dr. Rodney Brady, past president of the university, is with us today. Also with us are David Jordan, Nolan Karras, Scott Marquardt, David Smith, and Teresa Tyre, members of the Utah State Board of Regents. Keith Buswell and Carol Murphy, members of the Utah State Board of Education and the Utah State Board of Regents, and David Bueller, Associate Commissioner for Public Affairs. I would also like to recognize and welcome the delegation from Shanghai Normal University here today. They are attending to celebrate the first graduating class of our dual degree program in international economics. We're also pleased to have as our special guest honorary degree recipients Matt Christensen, Governor Michael Levitt, Orlif Opikins, and Robert Smith, and the recipients of the 2011 Presidential Distinguished Professor Awards, Brooke R. Cush, Judy Elsley, and Eugene Young. Past honorary degree recipients, faculty, staff, and student body officers are seated on the floor. I would especially like to acknowledge our faculty and staff who are retiring this year. We appreciate their dedication and their service to the university, and we wish them well in their new endeavors. Let's give them a round of applause. Welcome, graduates. Today, as you receive your degree from Weber State University, take a moment to think about how your education has helped you grow in ways you couldn't even have imagined a few years ago. You have acquired the intellectual development that comes from reading great literature, studying the sciences, and examining the historical and social issues of our age. You have had opportunities to apply your knowledge in fields as diverse as education, business, the health professions, and technology. The sum of these learning experiences has formed you into the person you are today, a college graduate who is prepared for the world that awaits you. As you receive your diploma today, you join the ranks of more than 3,600 students who will graduate during this academic year. You also become one of more than 100,000 alumni of this institution. Now I'd like to take the opportunity to learn more about the class of 2011. Graduates, please stand if you're the first in your family to graduate from college. Thank you. You may be seated. Please stand if you worked part-time or full-time while attending the university. Thank you. You may be seated. Please stand if you participated in service learning, in undergraduate research, or other experiential learning projects as a part of your university experience. Thank you. You may be seated. Please stand if you have a job or you have plans to continue in graduate or professional studies. Thank you. Congratulations to each of you and best wishes for your future success. Today, as we celebrate your accomplishment, I would like to recognize 3 faculty members who have made a difference in the lives of our graduating class. They are recipients of the Presidential Distinguished Professor Award, made possible by a generous gift to the university. We would like to thank the donors sincerely for this thoughtful contribution to honor our faculty. This award is given to faculty members who demonstrate outstanding achievement in teaching, scholarship, and community service. I'm pleased to announce that Brooke R. Cush of Anthropology, Judy Elsley from the Department of English, and Eugene Young from the Performing Arts Department are the Presidential Distinguished Professors for 2011. A detailed list of their accomplishments is presented in your program. I'll share just a few highlights from their careers, along with the accolades from students. Anthropology professor Brooke R. Cush is one of the leading experts in the archaeology of the Great Basin. Since he joined the faculty in 1990, Dr. R. Cush has published 24 journal articles and book chapters based on his personal research and his collaboration with students. While he has taught almost every course in the anthropology program over the years, Dr. R. Cush is best known for holding an annual field school at an archaeology site for 4 weeks during the summer. He mentors a group of students who live, learn, eat, and sleep on site. Students experience hands-on the opportunity to recover and to document archaeological data, write research reports, and contribute to the knowledge of the discipline. Anthropology major Amberly Goff explains, Dr. R. Cush is happiest when he's in the field. And when he is in his office, he's always making plans to get the best out of our weeks of field work. Last year, he asked me to take on more responsibility for setting up the field camp. I've grown as a person because he saw potential in me. Congratulations, Brooke. English professor Judy Elsley is passionate about text and textiles. She has drawn on her expertise in narrative writing to create a substantial body of work exploring the topic of quilts in literature and society. Dr. Elsley is the author of 3 books and 17 refereed journal articles. Throughout her 21-year career at Weber State University, Dr. Elsley has played a key role in the development and the enhancement of programs such as Writing Across the Curriculum, First-Year Experience, and the Bachelor of Integrated Studies. In her current role as Director of the Honors Program, Dr. Elsley regularly mentors some of the best students at Weber State, helping them get into graduate and professional schools. A former student, Whitney Douglas, who has gone on to become an English professor at Marshall University, explains, as a first-generation college student, I kept a low profile in my classes, always present, but rarely speaking. During my junior year, I took a class from Dr. Elsley. She encouraged me to keep questioning, examining, and reaching higher in my quest for education. Today, I'm in a place I would not have imagined possible, thanks to my teacher, mentor, and friend. Congratulations, Judy. Music professor Eugene Young is an accomplished concert pianist and scholar in her own right. She has performed on 3 continents and published numerous articles in piano journals since she came to Weber State University in 1992. Dr. Young is also known for her ability to train and mentor a new generation of award-winning performers. She has grown the piano program to one of national and international renown. She also spearheaded the project to attain the prestigious Steinway School designation for Weber State University. That heightened awareness has helped Dr. Young successfully recruit piano students from around the world. Fania Lin, winner of the Steinway Young Artist Piano Competition in 2010, explains, "I felt something special here at Weber State University when I came for my audition, even though I had always dreamed of attending Juilliard. My lesson with Dr. Young was amazing. I felt that there was so much more to learn from her. I knew this was the right school for me. Congratulations, Eugene." As you can see, these professors demonstrate commitment to their students and their academic disciplines. Please join me in recognizing the Presidential Distinguished Professors for 2011, Brooke Arkush, Judy Elsley, and Eugene Young. You will now have the opportunity to hear from Amy Mayo Townsley, one of our outstanding graduates, who as a representative of the 2011 class will deliver the student address. Following Amy's remarks, James Beardall, Alan Hall, Catherine Lindquist, and Kevin Sullivan, members of the university's Board of Trustees, will present the 4 honorary degree recipients. We will then hear from Governor Michael Levitt, followed by the Weber State University Wind Ensemble. Amy, a mother of 2, is graduating today with a Bachelor of Arts with a major in English creative writing and a minor in theater arts. While pursuing her degree, Amy served as vice president of the Creative Writers Club, Purple Ink, and a staff member and a reviewer of the university's literary journal, Metaphor. She's a recipient of the Lindquist Scholarship for an English creative writing major. Amy was twice awarded first place in the English Department Writing Contest in the fiction category, first place in Metaphor's Flash Fiction Contest, as well as winning the overall award for the Spring 2011 Epiphany Contest. She was selected to present a short story at the undergraduate National Literature Conference in 2011. Amy plans to continue her education at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, in their Master of Fine Arts program. Ladies and gentlemen, Amy Mayo Townsley.
Good morning, faculty, distinguished guests, friends and family of graduates, and Weber's graduating class of spring 2011. Yes. Today is a great day. Today, all of your efforts finally yield a wonderful, tangible reward. There are those who would tell you that a college degree is not worth the paper it is printed on. They might point to their unemployed neighbor with a PhD down the street, or the Ivy League billionaire who dropped out of college. Now, certainly a degree is no guarantee of future success, but when you consider the lifetime earnings of the average college graduate, your degree is literally worth its weight in gold. That is, if it weighed 107 pounds. Sadly, your degree, like gold, has no inherent value. You can frame it and put it on your wall, but if you never use your education to achieve your goals, all you'll have is a very expensive piece of decor. I once got a fortune in a fortune cookie, which I've saved. A ship in harbor is safe, but that's not why ships are made. I fear that many of us will find the first decent harbor that will let us in, drop our anchors there, never to set sail and reach our dreams. We might take that job that seemed like a good short-term solution, then get comfortable there, work our way up the ranks, and 10 and 20 years later wonder whatever happened to our dreams that we had today. That isn't to say that you might not have to take a job you hate just to get by at some point in your life. There's no shame in that. But beware the short-term consequences for short-term solutions. For short-term solutions have a way of quickly sprouting long-term consequences. There's a great quote that has been attributed to the author Samuel Beckett. Nothing great was ever achieved by being realistic. Please, whatever you do, don't you dare be realistic. The world has enough realists. The realist creates the kind of pleasant landscape you might find on the wall in your dentist's office. The idealist creates masterpieces. The realist writes serialized murder mysteries featuring a plucky female detective. The idealist writes literature. The realist accepts that poverty and hunger are inevitable. The idealist feeds the hungry and educates the impoverished anyway. The realist says the world just isn't fair. The idealist fights injustice. The realist thinks that some people just simply aren't college material. The idealist knows that anybody who is willing to work for it and wants it should have access to the education that we have been so fortunate to receive. The realist takes a job at the first harbor with a help wanted sign, claws his or her way to the middle, then wonders whatever happened to her dreams. Don't be a realist. Instead, take your degree, your 107 pounds of gold, and invest it. Put it to good use. Make your life into that which you dreamed of when you started your education, or perhaps even into something you never even dared to dream. Live a life of passion and purpose, a life worthy of the hard work and good fortune that has put you in these seats with the cap and gown today. A life in which you never compromise those things that are most important for you for the sake of being realistic. Weber class of 2011, I congratulate you, and I wish each and every one of you the very best. Thank you.
I am very excited about learning.
I am a student.
I am a mentor.
I am a teacher.
I am a well-rounded individual.
I am dedicated.
I'm a relationship builder.
I am ready to make a difference.
I am a filmmaker.
I am a researcher.
I am a mother.
A son.
A husband.
Excited.
Happy. I am a Weber State graduate.
I'm ready.
I think I'll miss knowing that I can discover new things here that can help open up my opportunities for the rest of my life.
The thing that I'll miss most about Weber State, I always study in the library. It just feels like a second home to me.
I'll miss the excitement of starting new semesters.
I've always felt the support of people telling me to go for my dreams and just do what I want to do.
I am going to miss having the ability to consult with my professors at the drop of a dime.
They've been the ones that have been my shining light, have continued to motivate me.
I would like to go on and get my master's, so there is more education in my future.
I'd like to put all my time now into my companies and just see them grow and succeed.
I hope to finish my undergraduate work and complete a bachelor's degree with a major in political science and a minor in psychology.
I am going to go get my nurse practitioner's degree so that I can continue to make a difference in lives.
I'm very excited for the future. I feel like Weber State has prepared me a lot for graduate school and any other career that I want to enter.
Little Nellie, as I was getting ready this morning, she said, "Mom, what are you doing today?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to go be in a video for Weber State graduation." And she said, "What? Mommies don't graduate." I think she made some reference to how old I am. I told her that yes, mommies do graduate.
One thing that I found a passion in is doing documentary film. And documentary film really is just about the research. Learning about the history of the Ogden Railroad, or learning about homelessness among military veterans, or letters that are up on the hillside. It's just having this mind that's full of inquiry and wanting to dig deeper and to know the stories behind things. And Weber State has really given me that opportunity to take the time to research things and just desire to know more. I think the story that inspired me most was the film I did, UNT United, which was about a school teacher in Uinta in the 1920s who, through teaching education, really changed the lives of a community. And I realized that having that ability to teach and having that education can be a very powerful tool. Weber State has taught me to do research. They've taught me to have an interest in subjects, and they've taught me how to have an interest in the world around me.
My education has helped me at work so much. Inc. magazine called me in November of 2009. They did an article called the Coolest College Startups of 2010. Ended up getting voted the coolest college startup of 2010 for a funeral recording business. That was really surprising to me that the teachers aren't just teachers. They're real people with real life experiences, and for me, they're fellow business owners, and I was able to learn a lot from them and gain some mentors up here.
My dad always makes a joke, no one's getting married, no one's having any serious relationship until you all finish school. So
A PhD too. Yeah, our mom also really stresses being girls in today's society. Really, education is an empowerment tool for us, and by getting an education, we have our own source of stability.
It's me with the support of so many other individuals. Weber State has done a great job in terms of undergraduate research. I was able to participate in 2 projects. Both of them were funded with the generosity of the donors. In addition to that, the professors that I worked with were very dedicated. Weber State has given me exactly what I wanted.
If it wasn't really for the help that I found here at Weber, for the people that really did care and wanted to see me succeed, I don't know where I'd be at right now. I'm having just a single parent in the household, not much income. I think where I was headed was definitely going to be just a dark place. Now I want to be one of those people that helps out, that makes a turnaround for those students out there who may be a little bit lost. A lot of those non-traditional students, and a lot of those first-generation students who think that it can't be done, because I'm here, and now it can be done.
As I walk across the stage, I think the emotion that I will feel will be just so exciting.
It's going to be a big ceremony for me and the people who've helped me through it.
Now to be here on this day for this moment is just truly remarkable, and I've been truly blessed.
I think coming into it, I didn't expect how great it would be. What I do know is that I have skills now, and I can use them wherever I go.
It may start small and it may start slowly, but I really do plan to make a difference in the world.
I'm nervous. I'll admit I'm nervous.
I'm so excited to just have that diploma and know that I put in all that hard work.
This is just my beginning.
I am ready to graduate.
I am Rachel Griffith.
I am Joel Caranaza.
I am Colette Williamson.
I'm Isaac Geckeritz.
Kimberly Clark, and I'm graduating.
We are graduating
From Weber State.
Weber State.
Weber State University.
We will now proceed with the awarding of the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities. This is the highest honor Weber State confers upon an individual, and we are pleased to award such degrees today. President Milner, honored guests, distinguished faculty, it is the recommendation of the Board of Trustees and the faculty of Weber State University that the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities be conferred on Mac Christensen. Will Barney Chapman, a member of the Board of Trustees, and Jan Winifred, Vice President for Student Affairs, please escort Mr. Christensen to the podium and assist in the hooding. Mac Christensen needs no introduction as the founder of Mr. Mac, the regional chain of men's clothing stores. But he is less well known in his second career as a volunteer leader of some of Utah's highest profile nonprofit organizations. For the past decade, Mr. Christensen has served the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as president of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, the orchestra at Temple Square, and the bells on Temple Square. He is also a sealer in the Bountiful Utah Temple and previously served a 2-year assignment with his wife Joan as co-directors of the Washington, D.C. Temple Visitor Center. Mr. Christensen is a native of Ephraim, where he attended Snow College and later received an honorary degree from that institution. Mr. Christensen's public service experience included providing leadership to numerous community organizations in northern Utah, such as the Bountiful Sertoma Club, LDS Hospital, and the Utah State Fair. He also served on the board of directors of the Davis Applied Technology Center and as a trustee of Weber State University. Previous honors to Mr. Christensen have included the Outstanding Sertoma Award from the Bountiful Sertoma Club, and the Gold Cadius Award from Amicus, the fundraising arm of the LDS Hospital. For these and numerous other personal and professional accomplishments, the Board of Trustees and President F. Ann Milner, on behalf of Weber State University, confer upon Mac Christensen the degree of Doctor of Humanities.
President Milner, honored guests, distinguished faculty, it is the recommendation of the Board of Trustees and the faculty of Weber State University that the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities be conferred on Orloff Opikins. Will Rex Baxter, a member of the Board of Trustees, and Brad Mortensen, Vice President for University Advancement, please escort Mr. Opikins to the podium and assist in the hooding. It's a pleasure for me to introduce a man who can honestly say that he helped make Weber State University what it is today. As the founder and chairman of the board of R&O Construction, Orloff Opikins heads a firm that built iconic Weber State structures like the Stewart Stadium Sky Suites Complex and the Hearst Learning Center for Lifelong Learning. Mr. Opikins is a native of Ogden and an alumnus of Weber State University. He has been a business entrepreneur throughout his lengthy career, and his success in that role is demonstrated by the ranking of R&O Construction in the top 300 of similar enterprises throughout the United States. Over the years, Mr. Opikins has played a key role in statewide economic development efforts and earned a reputation as a strong supporter of higher education. He has served on numerous university advisory panels and contributes annual funding for scholarship and internship opportunities for Weber State Construction Management students. Previous honors to Mr. Opikins have included the Utah Realtor of the Year Award, the Spirit of Ogden Recognition Award, the Wall of Fame Award from the Ogden Weber Chamber of Commerce, and the Utah Entrepreneur of the Year Award from Ernst & Young. For these and numerous other personal and professional accomplishments, the Board of Trustees and President F. Ann Milner, on behalf of Weber State University, confer upon Orloff Opikins the degree of Doctor of Humanities. Congratulations.
President Ann Milner, honored guests, distinguished faculty, it is the recommendation of the Board of Trustees and the faculty of Weber State University that the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities be conferred upon Robert B. Smith. Will Victoria Thompson, a member of the Board of Trustees, and Brett Ellis, Vice President for Information Technology, please escort Dr. Smith to the podium and assist in the hooding. It is such an honor to be able to share this platform today with Robert B. Smith. During his tenure as a leader of the Weber State faculty during the 1980s and 1990s, Dr. Smith played a key role in one of the most significant moments of this institution's history. Robert Smith is an emeritus faculty of Weber State University, where he distinguished himself in the roles of Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost from 1981 to 1996. In those positions, he was heavily involved in Weber State's political fight to achieve university status and the later evolutionary changes that made that transformation a reality. Dr. Smith's leadership ability was also demonstrated during his extensive public service experience, which included acting as chair of critical committees and teams within the Northwest Association of Schools and Colleges, directing a National Academic Leadership Institute for university administrators, and supporting the U.S. Information Agency's outreach efforts to foreign universities. Dr. Smith was recognized by his colleagues for his wide range of scholarly interests, including organic chemical research, philosophies of science, and unconventional strategies of teaching science. He also acquired a reputation as an author of professional articles on teaching and higher education, as well as literary essays on nature. For these and numerous other personal and professional accomplishments, the Board of Trustees and President F. Ann Milner, on behalf of Weber State University, confer upon Robert B. Smith the degree of Doctor of Humanities.
Good morning. President Milner, honored guest, distinguished faculty, it is a recommendation of the Board of Trustees and the faculty of Weber State University that the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities be conferred on Governor Michael Leavitt. Will Forrest Crawford, Assistant to the President for Diversity, and Norm Tarbox, Vice President for Administrative Services, please escort Governor Leavitt to the podium and assist in the hooding. Governor Michael Leavitt is the epitome of the proverbial public official who has selflessly served the state of Utah and the United States of America over the past 2 decades. Governor Leavitt is a native of Cedar City and a graduate of Southern Utah University. After heading the Leavitt Group, a family business that is now the nation's second largest privately held insurance brokerage, he was elected governor of Utah in 1992. Over the next decade, Governor Leavitt's accomplishments included facilitating Utah's preparation for the 2002 Winter Olympic Games by overhauling the state's highway system and supporting the expansion of its information technology infrastructure. Governor Leavitt was tapped to join the cabinet of President George W. Bush in 2003, serving first as administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency and later as Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Throughout his public service career, Governor Leavitt strongly supported the role of higher education and economic development and workforce creation. That focus prompted him to become one of the founders of Western Governors University, an online institution of higher learning that now has more than 20,000 students enrolled throughout the United States and several foreign countries. For these and numerous other personal and professional accomplishments, the Board of Trustees and President F. Ann Milner, on behalf of Weber State University, proudly confer upon Governor Michael Leavitt the degree of Doctor of Humanities.
Thank you, sir. It's so good to have you here. We look forward to your speech. I got one more thing to say, and then we'll have you up here, okay?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, may I present Governor Leavitt.
President Milner and members of the Board of Regents, Board of Trustees, I feel confident that I speak on behalf of my fellow honorees in thanking you for this very distinguished pleasure and honor. In late spring of 2003, I joined an ABC News crew that was touring a group of public lands in Utah. They were interested in getting the governor's perspective on a controversy that had erupted over the use of those lands. We landed to refuel the airplane in Price, Utah. And when I landed, my cell phone began to fill up with messages. One of them was from my assistant, who said that the White House had called and the Office of Personnel wanted me to call them back. So I slipped into a corner where I could have some privacy, some distance from the reporters that were accompanying me, and called. The woman who spoke with me on the phone explained that a member of the president's cabinet had resigned and that it was her job to come up with a list of people who would be willing to be considered by the president as a replacement. She wanted to know if I would be willing to be considered. Now, I was nearing the completion of my 11th year as governor. It's a job I absolutely loved. I told her that my initial reaction was negative, but I said, I'm surrounded right now by reporters. Do you think I could call you back? Which I did. The call was very short, but it triggered in me, or for me, a decision process that was very important. In fact, it was a life-changing decision that I was about to make. Now, we all make life-changing decisions. These decisions, more than our circumstances, really shape our life. So today, I would like to offer some very practical advice in the area of making big decisions in our life. I want to give you 5 keys that I think will be helpful to you. Now, all 5 will seem quite obvious, but when they are ignored, our decisions are not as good. And this is a good time to be reminding us of those 5 things, because graduation always has a way of triggering new decisions that will have immediate implications in our life. Many of you will be making career choices. Should I go to graduate school? Should I accept a transfer to another location? Should I take this job even though it's not exactly what I was looking for? Other decisions will be very personal. Is this a person I should marry? What about having children? What kind of person do I really want to be? Many of you will be called to make decisions that are hire and fire decisions that have big impact on the lives of other people. Many of the graduates in this class will make decisions on behalf of companies, on behalf of communities, perhaps states and nations. The ability to make good decisions is a defining competency that requires practice and thought. Now back to Price, Utah. As we took off that day to finish our task at hand, I tried to push this out of my mind. However, by the time I had returned to the state capitol that day, what had happened, the impact that call began to weigh heavy on my mind. I mentioned it only to my wife. I had a subsequent conversation with the White House where I said, I'm doubtful of my interest, but when I'm in Washington the next time, I'll come by and we can just talk about it. Over several days then, I began to do what I always do when I face an important decision, or for that matter, an important problem. I wrote a memo to myself. I said earlier that there would be 5 keys. Well, the first one is just that. I wrote it down. Writing things down forces one to think clearly, to choose words, to clarify. It doesn't have to be elegant. It doesn't have to be well written. This isn't about literature. This is about seeing the entire picture. It's about filling gaps in logic. It's about truly understanding the dilemma that you face and its ramifications. It's a method of defining a problem with sufficient exactness that you can actually solve it. Let me just say in passing that I do this when I'm wrestling with a complex problem. The reality is that decision making and problem solving are sibling skills. Writing a hard decision down and writing it out provides also context that you can let someone read it who you trust and allow them to help you by providing a degree of insight. It creates a bit of distance between you and the problem, that creates some objectivity that can't occur if we're only playing this out in our mind. Perhaps Ernest Hemingway once said it best. He said, writing things down is a shock-proof BS protector. Hard decisions are hard, and they're hard because they always happen or require a decision with imperfect information. There are always uncertainties, things that we simply can't know, that we can't possibly know at the time we have to make the decision. One day in the Oval Office, after a meeting with the President, I made a passing comment to him about the complexity of a problem we'd been wrestling with. President Bush said, "That's why they call this the Oval Office. There are no corners to hide in." Key number 2, shrink the uncertainties. While one can never see the future with precision, it's possible that you can reduce the uncertainties or minimize risks. In making big decisions, it's the uncertainties that create the anxiety. I wrote this decision memo on my decision. I listed the things that I could not possibly know at that point, but that were important to me. Questions like, what about my agenda as governor? Have I accomplished all I set out to do? How will the people of Utah respond to this? Will they feel proud or will they feel abandoned? There were obviously some family implications here. Would Jackie find this an acceptable place to be in our life? What about my 8th grader? How would he feel about moving? Would I like the job? As governor, I was fairly in charge. As a cabinet member, I knew I'd be reporting to the president. Was I really ready to finish my service as governor? These are comparable to the kinds of things that all of us go through when we're facing a life-changing decision. I asked myself, what could I accomplish in the next 15 months when I'm here by comparison to what I might do if I were there? What if the president doesn't get reelected? All of the uncertainties. When I talked to my 14-year-old son about this and the uncertainty I had about him, he had no uncertainty. He said, "So there's a chance you'll be on the president's cabinet?" I said, "Well, there's a chance." He said, "Well, good luck, because there's absolute certainty in what I'll be doing next year. I'm going to be on the student council at Clayton Middle School. I don't know about you." Well, I might add that's exactly what he did. But one at a time, I began to look at the uncertainties and begin to shrink them in every way that I could. In some cases, I did research or I sought more information. But with each one, I began to develop a working assumption of what the outcome would be of that uncertainty. The goal of key number 2 is to shrink uncertainties by stating in writing how that uncertainty will unfold. Each uncertainty that you're able to replace with a belief begins to form a puzzle and a picture of the future that decision is going to move you toward. Now, I knew some of my beliefs would prove to be imperfect, but that picture was something I could envision and compare, and it allowed me to begin to measure my values against that picture. Key number 3, examine your biases. Sometimes we make bad decisions because we're motivated by the wrong things. We make important decisions during times when our judgment is clouded. It can be clouded by our appetites. It can be clouded by our passions like anger or fear or ego or greed or ambition or infatuation. Depression can cloud our decision-making process. It impairs good decision-making. It's important that we never make major life-changing decisions in the midst of a significant emotional low. In situations like that, it's important to reach out to those we trust and ask them for help in navigating through important life-changing decisions. In fact, that's the decision key number 4. Seek the counsel of others. Now, the decision I'm speaking of was one that I couldn't talk openly about with very many people. Confidentiality was an absolute necessity. I hadn't been offered the job, and the ramifications of a governor thinking about resigning would be vast. Despite the limitations of confidentiality, I was able to seek the advice of a few people that I trust. I was able to ask some general questions. I sought people who I thought that would provide me with perspective, both ways. One man was a former governor that I went to ask his advice. He gave me a searing criticism of life in Washington. I knew he had unique circumstances, and I was able to factor, but it was an important thing for me to hear before I made a decision. A couple of weeks later, I had my decision memo safely password protected in my computer, and I went to Washington. As part of that trip, I was to go by the White House and see members of the White House staff to talk about the potential of this job. I was a guest on a small private airplane with a man that I consider still to be a good friend. On the way, and in a fashion that I was absolutely sure could not be observed, I popped open my computer, brought that document up that I had been writing, and quickly recorded a new thought. The next day, I got a frantic call from my press secretary. She said, "A reporter from the Salt Lake Tribune says he has a source who was on an airplane with you who saw a memo on your computer about you taking a position on the president's cabinet. What should I say?" Now, that came as a somewhat unwelcome surprise to both of us. I had kept this conversation so private that not even my own staff knew. But reconstructing things, I was quite certain I knew exactly who the source was. And I was disappointed that a friend would take it upon himself to look over my shoulder and then call a reporter with the information. I thought, welcome to Washington. However, some good things came from that episode. The first was a piece of advice that my old governor friend had given me in the context of our conversation now had new meaning. He reminded me of that old saw, if you want to have loyalty in politics, buy a dog. The second was a brief bit of experience in using a well-defined Washington art of answering a question that's truthful but not saying much. So I said to my press secretary, tell them, yes, the governor had a conversation with the White House about the job, but for many reasons it would be problematic. That was entirely true. The next day I saw a good-sized headline reading, "Leavitt says going to Washington problematic." It was a bullet dodged. Key number 5, decide to decide. Let's just be clear. Large, life-changing decisions are hard. They're hard for everyone. And for that reason, I've learned to set time frames on my decision making. I have come to establish dates by which I will decide things. I try to allow 2 situations to push those deadlines back, but only 2. If I'm still getting valuable information, or if my options are still expanding, I defer. Otherwise, I try to decide. I decide. Now, frankly, we can all learn to make decisions better. This is a competency that we can practice and improve. Here's an example. One of the most important decisions that a governor makes would be appointing judges, and it happens often. Early in my first term, I found that I labored a bit on these judicial appointments. Good people, lots of high stakes, they all wanted the job. As time went on, however, I learned to discipline myself to complete the interview process, and then within a couple of hours, I would announce my decision to the staff. But we established a practice that we would wait until the next morning to call the candidates and to announce anything publicly. And I found that was important because somehow knowing that I could change my mind if I didn't feel good about it in the morning freed me to make a decision. Now I should say, I found I rarely changed my mind in the morning. But there was an importance to that process, and it's become a staple in my decision-making on important decisions. When I make a big decision, that's the decision, but I let it cure for a while before finalizing it. Interestingly, the decision to join the President's cabinet is one of those where letting it cure made a difference. After the meeting at the White House, I told the President's staff, I'll likely decline consideration, but I'd like to think about it for a few days. Over the weekend, I read through what had now become a fairly sizable decision memo. As I did, I thought a new thought came to me. I took out a yellow pad and sketched out a graph that laid out all of the months left in my term. And on that graph, I began to chart the things that I believed I could do that would be unique to me. Doing that allowed me to realize that most of the things I had started were complete. I then began to get excited about the fact that Lieutenant Governor Olene Walker would be a new and fresh governor, that she would be Utah's first female governor. She was extraordinarily capable. People would rally around her, I knew, that any initiative that she proposed because of their admiration for her and the sense of history that her appointment would represent. So the next day, I called the White House and I told them while I was extraordinarily happy being governor that if the President asked me to be on the cabinet, I would serve. The decision was a relief to me, but I knew I had made the right decision because I had gone through a deliberate process. I might add that the next phase of this adventure got off to a rather undignified start. Late one evening, I was sitting in the back seat of the car that the highway patrol drove me in, and I was using the darkened windows as cover to hurriedly change from my suit into golf attire while some somewhat impatient playing partners waited on the first tee. Just as I got my pants off, the telephone rang. It is not exactly the situation one expects when the President of the United States calls. I would have to say that one of the most delightful experiences of my life, however, followed when I, after a cabinet meeting of my own at the state capitol, said to the lieutenant governor, "Come in for a moment, I want to talk to you." I said, "Sit down," and we talked for a few minutes. And I said, "Olene, I have a new assignment I'd like to give you. I want you to become the 15th governor of the state of Utah." She drew a deep breath and said, "I just don't know what to say." I was confident that she would do a remarkable job, and in retrospect, that decision worked out very well. I spent the next 5.5 years contributing in a new way. I felt energized by the experience, and Governor Walker made history and served the state of Utah well. And it should be added, an alumni of this great university. So let's review quickly the 5 keys. 1, write it down. 2, shrink the uncertainties in a very deliberate way. 3rd, examine your biases. Make certain that this is a decision you're making for the right reasons and at the right time. Fourth, counsel with others. And last, decide when to decide. Now, could I make this observation in closing? The decision I told you about turned out quite well, but not all do. An important part of becoming a good decision maker is learning that you can survive some bad ones. There's an old story about a young executive who said to the CEO of his company, "Sir, what's the secret to success?" And the CEO replied, "Good decisions." The young executive then replied, "So what's the secret to good decisions?" He said, "Experience." "How then," said the young executive, "does one gain experience?" "Bad decisions." Congratulations on your graduation, and may all of your big, life-changing decisions be good ones.
Thank you. And thank you, Governor Levitt. We will now proceed with a presentation of candidates for graduation by Provost Michael Vaughn.
I want to ask the candidates for the institutional certificates, as well as the Associate of Applied Science, Associate of Pre-Engineering, Associate of Science, and Associate of Arts, to please stand and remain standing. I'll now ask the candidates for the Bachelors of Integrated Studies, Bachelors of Science, Bachelors of Fine Arts, Bachelors of Arts, Bachelors of Music, and Bachelors of Music Education to please stand and remain standing. And finally, I will ask the candidates for the Masters of Arts in English, the Masters of Education in Curriculum and Instruction, the Masters of Science in Athletic Training, the Masters of Health Administration, the Master of Science in Nursing, the Master of Criminal Justice, the Master of Business Administration, the Master of Accounting, and the Master of Taxation to please rise. President Milner, as the Provost of Weber State University, it's my honor to present these candidates who have completed the requirements for the certificates and degrees indicated in the program and deemed worthy of this distinction.
In the name of Weber State University, upon recommendation of its faculty, and by the authority of the Utah State Board of Regents, I hereby confer upon each of you the appropriate certificate and degree indicated in the program of the day. As a symbol of your achievement, will all the graduates please move the tassels from the right side of their caps to the left side. Your graduation today is both a personal achievement to be celebrated and a gift from family, friends, faculty, staff, and others who supported you. Graduates, would you like to recognize them now for their support? Thank you. You may be seated. Aren't they wonderful? You will now hear from Rex Baxter, President of the Weber State University Alumni Association.
Thank you, President. Would all the alumni present today please stand? Graduates, and by the way, you should all be standing. Thank you. On behalf of these Weber State University alumni and the Alumni Association, I welcome the class of 2011 into the ranks of the WSU alumni. Hopefully your status as a member of the class of 2011 will be an incentive for enthusiastic participation and continued involvement with the Alumni Association and your alma mater in the years to come. Now that you have become an alumnus, please take the opportunity to visit your Alumni Center. It is a beautiful structure that represents how we feel about the importance of our alumni. You can take great pride in your facility and the activities taking place through the Alumni Association. Please keep in touch with us. Let us know what you're doing. We will also try to keep in touch with you and let you know what is going on. Again, welcome, class of 2011. It's a great day to be a Wildcat.
I encourage you to get involved with the Alumni Association, who will continue to extend your relationship with Weber State University. We appreciate everyone who planned, organized, and participated in the commencement program this morning. If there are any in the audience who would like an additional program, they will be available in Portal 14. You may also pick them up at the conclusion of the ceremony. For those who would like to view this entire ceremony, please refer to page 35 in your program for instructions on watching commencement on YouTube or purchasing a DVD of this ceremony. Alumni, as you leave here today, I encourage you to continue your connection with Weber State University. We hope it's a lifelong relationship where you will return to learn, to foster relationships with faculty and colleagues, to support students who follow in your footsteps, and to engage in university activities. You will always be a part of Weber State University, a place that played a role in changing your life. But most of all, don't ever forget that you bleed purple. Now would you please join the Weber State University Wind Ensemble, conducted by Dr. Thomas Root and vocalist Jenica Holt, in singing our song, Purple and White. For those of you who may not yet have memorized the words are printed on the inside back cover of the program. The recessional by the graduates will then conclude the 137th commencement exercises of Weber State University. The audience, platform guests, and faculty should remain standing during the recessional. Please rise for our school song, Purple and White.